Welcome to the March 25th, 2021 meeting of the Town of Southampton Planning Board. In accordance with the Governor's Executive Order 202.1 and in its related extensions, and until further notice, all of the board's meetings will be held remotely via video conference. So we ask the public to continually check the town's website for updates and new information. We have a roll call, please, Gloria.
Chair LaFaro.
Present.
Vice Chair Finnerty is absent. Secretary is here. Board Member Catalanato.
Present.
Board Member Long.
Present.
Board Member Zuccarelli.
Present.
We have 5 out of 7. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please join in for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To
the flag
of the
of the United States of America
and to
to
the
the
to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one nation,
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with
liberty
liberty and justice
and
for all.
justice for all.
for all. Thank you. We have 2 public hearings this evening. We have applicants and members of the public standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. Charles Certain will be muting and holding speakers in a virtual waiting room until it's their time to give testimony before the board. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking should state their name and address for the record. A further reminder that despite the Zoom environment, all comments should be directed to the board and not to other applicants. The link to participate in this meeting via Zoom can be found on the town's website. This meeting is also being live streamed on the town's website on the town clerk's meeting portal. If you're having difficulty accessing the meetings, please visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Public comments can be made via Zoom, by email, or by uploading them to the town clerk's portal on the planning board's page. You will see on that page a button you can click to upload your comments. Please do not use the Zoom chat function to register your comments. Any comments made via the chat function will not be included in or made part of the record. Instead, you may either speak at the hearing or submit your comments in writing after the hearing. Board members who must recuse themselves from any application will state so on the record and will be removed from the meeting until the end of the hearing. Unless otherwise stated at the end of each hearing, these applications will remain open for written comments from the applicant and the public for 30 days. Those comments can also be made available by email or by uploading your comments to the town clerk's portal under, I lost my last line here. Finally, in accordance with the governor's order, this meeting will be recorded and transcribed at a later date and will be made available to the public. So we just have one sequence change tonight. We're going to take the number 2 item, Fisher Organization, first, and then the 9/11 Flanders LLC second. So, Kathleen, do we have notice?
We have proper notice, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
Okay. Bob Merrihew will be here for this, and I'll read the notice. I'll just put up the aerial first. Okay. Okay, so please take notice that in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order number 202.1, a public hearing will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, March 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. via video conferencing to consider the final application entitled Fisher Organization. The application proposes a 2-lot subdivision of a 28,052 square foot property currently improved with a single-family residence and garage situated in the R10 zoning district and New York State Archaeological Sensitive Area located at 1490 Flanders Road in the hamlet of Flanders, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-142-2-40.1.
Who are we expecting, Anthony?
Bob Merrihew?
You can take it off the screen, Anthony. Thank you.
Bob here?
Bob here?
Bob, what's the last name?
Merrihew?
I don't see him.
Did he know?
Did we,
Be on
did
first?
he advise him that we reverse the order?
Bob knew that the hearing was at 6 o'clock. I sent him the link.
Unless he's
Oh.
on the phone. He can raise his hand though. I see a Bob Johnson, but not a Mary.
Kathleen, should we go to the second one and then recall this, or?
Oh,
I
wait a
think
minute.
so. It's up to
I
the
got Robert.
discretion of the chair.
Oh,
Robert.
Robert's here. He's back.
It's just under Robert. He's coming. Okay. Video on, please. There you go.
Yes. Hi, Robert.
Good grief, I apologize. It's the technology. I'm trying to call Anthony on his cell phone.
I
Robert
know.
Murray, 40 and Waller, 250 North Sea Road, Southampton, New York, for the applicant.
So give us a brief overview, if you would, of the
This is
application.
This is a minor subdivision in R10 zone. I didn't have to go to the ZBA. We can subdivide this as of right. There had been a road going through this portion of the additional lot, which is why the board had waived the historical investigation. And so what we propose is we've put in our application, as well as we've had the IA system installed and approved by the Suffolk County Department of Health on the pre-existing property that's here. And we propose to put a new house here that fits within the wetland setbacks as well as the building envelope. And that's basically it. I would ask the board to indulge me, and I apologize, but my heart really goes out to the board as well as to Mr. Keith's family. Phil Keith was a great guy, and his son graduated high school from West Hampton with my daughter Marley, and he'll be greatly missed in my esteem.
We will indeed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Now, can we get to look at this map a little bit closer? It's very hard to see. Are you subdividing an R10
Yes, it's an R10.
and it's 3,000 square feet? No.
It's 28,000, a
20
little over 28,000, 28,000 and a half
Okay,
square feet.
got it. And it's a corner lot, right?
Well, this is Flanders Road, right? I know you can't see my cursor. I apologize. Flanders Road is there, and the existing house abuts Flanders Road as well as I believe it's Birch Avenue.
Birch Avenue.
And so the subdivided lot, the second lot, will front on Birch Avenue.
Did you need setback relief on the,
We didn't need any relief on this.
at all?
No.
And
So the new house would exit onto
Birch
Flanders
Avenue.
Avenue
No,
on
Birch.
Birch,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
the other house is exiting on,
Onto
Birch.
Birch as well. There's no driveway for the existing house onto Flanders Road.
so you're gonna have
So
two
they're both
curb
on
cuts
Birch
on
Avenue.
Birch?
Well, there's one existing curb cut on Birch, and then the second one, yes, we'll have a curb cut on Birch.
All right, cool.
it looks like the house on the second lot is very close to the property line. Is that because of wetland setbacks?
Yes, it's still within it's still within the setbacks that are preordained, but yeah, we had to move it back so we could make sure we were outside that 200 feet.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it on the map, it looks like it's pushed way to the left.
And you are correct.
Oh yeah, now I can see the wetland setbacks because Anthony just made the font bigger.
Yeah, but just so you're aware, they have plenty of room in the building envelope if they wanted to shift the house further from the property line and meet the 100-foot setback. Because the 100-foot setback falls off the property, and actually 125-foot setback just comes on the property a little bit. So they could actually move it if they
They
want
could
to.
move, they could move it. Might be a better location. Is there anyone here from the public who would like to speak?
Yes, I have someone. Yeah. Stuart Barnett. Stephen Barnett. Sorry.
Stephen Barnett. Mr. Barnett, are you there? Charles, has he connected?
I am connecting him. Trying. My favorite color.
There we are. Mr. Barnett, welcome.
Yep.
Is there any audio?
We have no audio. We have no audio from you. Can you turn your microphone up?
Mr. Barnett, are you here for this public hearing or the 7-Eleven application? Hmm.
This is not the 7-Eleven application. It's the Fisher Organization
I
application.
don't think they can hear you.
Well, they can't hear either. So there's no audio at all. Is there anyone else there, Charles?
There are no other hands.
Can they read a chat, Kathleen, do you think?
I'm going to try that right now, Madam Chair.
Okay.
Yes, they can.
I think she's reading it, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, I heard a click. You
Still
getting
no
any, you getting any response, Kathleen?
No.
No, not via the chat.
And I still don't have any audio.
Oh, it's from their end.
Yep.
I think. It's from whatever device they're on. Kathleen, can you ask them to write a letter or to?
Did they want to call in? Is there
Is there a
a
number
phone
they can
number?
call, Charles?
I think they do want to be heard on this Fisher application.
If you can tell them to look at the mic and click on the up. Maybe they have it at the wrong setting. It should be same setting as computer. I know I had that problem.
I don't think they can hear us either, no.
Can you raise your hand if you can hear us?
They can't hear. I'm gonna put them back into the waiting room and then bring them in again and see if that does anything.
Okay.
So change row. And then no. Still the
No.
same.
So you can't communicate with them at all, Charles?
No, not any more than you can.
Yeah.
I
We'll have to move. We'll have to move on.
okay.
That gentleman, I
There you go.
believe, showed up at the preliminary, and if memory serves me, he was concerned about the road being more degraded from any kind of equipment brought in, and we assured him that, you know, we would make sure that we mitigated any of those things. But if somebody wants to give him my cell phone or anything that helps the board, they should feel free.
Is the road beat up now, Robert?
Oh, it's like the rest of our roads. It looks like the Long Island Expressway. I went to a closing 2 weeks ago, and the expressway is not even drivable anymore. We're a third world nation now.
Madam Chair, the
Yes.
Secretary Patty said that she could try to call him if you'd like.
Sure.
Okay.
She has a number. That's great.
Yeah, he did call earlier.
Can you put that number up again, Zuccarelli?
He called another town department earlier trying to get information on this meeting. So I think she does have his phone number.
I think he's answering the phone. Yep.
Technology.
He can hear us. Mr. Barnett can hear us through the phone. Do you want me to put that on speaker?
Sure.
That would be great.
Thank you, Patty.
Sure, here you go.
Okay, we can hear you.
Now this should work.
Okay,
You
we
can
can hear
speak to
you.
the board.
Hello, yes, I'm here.
Good.
Good.
Congratulations.
Yes. Technology, wonderful thing. Okay. Would you me to proceed? I have some questions.
Please, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Did the health department approve this subdivision? Right? Because basically what we're doing is taking an R10 area and we're making a 28,000 square foot lot, which is about a third of an acre, into two R10 zoned things. So we have now we have two septic systems instead of two quarter-acre lots. We have them on one-third acre lot.
Okay, we'll ask the applicant about the health department. And you have another question?
That. And then I live on this street here. I'm one of the two owners.
Hold the phone closer, Sister Barnett.
Okay. Yes. So I was wondering what would happen about the road maintenance. We have a private road now, Birch Avenue, and it has started developing some potholes, which I normally fix myself when they occur. But it's gotten to be so that there's quite a lot of traffic on Birch Road because of a lot of people live on Birch Avenue at this point. So we're going to have another house, and the road is not very durable, especially in some places where the asphalt is only about 1 inch thick. So I would like to see if there's going to be more traffic on Birch Road for the town to accept the road as maintenance
Mrs.
themselves.
Barnett, Mrs. Barnett, can you please put your paper pad down? Thanks. Okay, so road maintenance is the second issue.
Yes. And let's see. There's, I
Now
basically, that's
speak into the phone.
Speak into the phone.
okay. I'm interested in making sure that road maintenance occurs
Mm-hmm.
because getting older and I can't really do this forever. So if we're going to have another property, another house on this street, this little private road, which has 6 houses, we need to have it, the maintenance picked up by the town. And that's what I'm thinking is necessary. It's not really fair to have other people have their roads looked after. I don't believe I receive a tax benefit by doing my own road work.
Okay, let's get some answers for you. Can you hear us?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, good. Robert, would you like to respond to the first question? Do you have health department approval?
We have health department approval, and it's a 28,500 square foot parcel in an R10, which means that by right you can develop on 10,000 square feet. So we're within our rights to develop this. As to the road, I obviously, as an attorney, cannot commit the town or anyone else to maintenance issues. I would point out that I believe the gentleman stated that there were 7 people on Birch Avenue, and now there'll be conceivably 8 properties, which makes a lessening of the load if it stays or is maintained as a private thing where they can all share in the upgrade and or at least the upkeep of that road. As far as, asking the town to take the road on, that's beyond my purview right now.
Jackie, just if I could add, per the town engineer, they're going to have to go to road review. It's a private road, so there's really no ability to discuss the town taking over the road unless it was built to town specs, so we're not really dealing with that, but it will go to road review. And you will see it when we get to the referrals, that the engineer noted that improvements to Birch are going to be necessary. So they're going to have to make some improvements there.
Good point. So those are your answers, Mr. Barnett?
Okay, I have, does it make any difference that the property does not actually have a garage on it? The one that's being subdivided. There used to be a garage many years ago, but it was condemned by the town and torn down by the owner.
Okay, let's get an answer. Mr. Barnett, Mr. Merrihew?
Under a previous owner of that property, there was, upon information and belief when I investigated it, that, there was a proper demolition permit issued from the town and it was removed.
Okay. So that's the response, Mr. Burnett, that there was a demolition permit for the garage and it was removed.
Yes, so it makes no difference that this application includes a garage which has been removed on it. Correct?
Robert?
Well, it was removed at a prior date. So things that are approved by the town before are not included in future applications.
If I understand Mr. Barnett's question correctly, he wants to know if there has to be a garage included in the next set of plans.
No.
Is that right, Mr. Barnett?
Okay, no, but there is no garage there, so it just seemed that they would say there was a garage. There actually is not.
No, and you're not proposing a garage, right?
Candidly, I don't remember.
We will make sure the final map removes any reference to an existing garage if there is any.
Okay.
Okay.
Can the road be made any wider?
the requirements for making road improvements are going to be made by the town engineer and the board, the road review board, that reviews those applications, because that's who handles it when it comes to a private road. So I couldn't tell you specifically what improvements. They come at the time that the applicant submits a building permit to develop the property.
Okay,
Okay, so you can also send in any of your questions again, Mr. Barnett. You have 30 days to do that. Is there
Okay.
anyone else? Thank you very much for persevering. Is there anyone else who wants to speak to this application?
I see no other hands.
Okay, so may I have a motion to close with a 30
Motion.
motion by Robin, second by Gloria, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstention, 6 in favor.
5.
Five.
5 in favor, sorry. Closing with a 30-day written comment period. Thank you.
I thank the board and Ms. Murray and Mr. Trezza.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you very much.
We're moving on to 911 Flanders. And I don't know how many people you have in the holding room there, Charles.
Quite a
But-
number.
Quite a number, okay. So,
I'll read the notice, and my assumption is I have the stuff, but my assumption is the design professionals
do
will.
we have proper notice, Kathleen?
We have proper notice, Madam Chair.
Okay.
All right. Please take notice that in accordance with the governor's executive order number 202.1, a pre-submission conference will be held by the Southampton Town Planning Board on Thursday, March 25th, 2021 at 6 p.m. via video conferencing to consider the pre-submission application entitled 911 Flanders LLC. The application proposes to redevelop the subject property with a gasoline station with 6 pumps and a 3,024 square foot 7-Eleven convenience store with associated parking on a 39,567 square foot property formerly used as a gas station situated within the Highway Business Zoning District and Riverside Overlay District located at 9 and 11 Flanders Road in the hamlet of Riverside, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-138-2-31 and 32.
So I think it's Anthony Corcio representing the applicant and Keith Brown,
Yes, thank you, Madam Chairwoman.
the two of you. Okay, are you speaking first, Mr. Brown?
Yes,
Okay, great. Thank you.
and if I could, just to double check with Mr. Trezza, we have the following experts with us tonight: Chris Tartaglia, Andrew Valari, Jeff Murphy. If you could let them into the meeting, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you. Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, Keith Brown, Brown and Altman LLP, Brown, Altman and DeLeo LLP, located at 538 Broad Hollow Road, Suite 301, Melville, New York, 11747. We represent the applicant 9-11 Flanders LLC. They are the landlord who has entered into a ground lease to redevelop the property with the proposed 7-Eleven gas station and accessory convenience store. In advance of tonight's hearing, all sign postings were performed in accordance with town code on March 14th of this year. The affidavit of posting and photos of the sign posting were submitted to the clerk of the planning board on March 25th of this year. Just by way of background, I know you all know the site, but in case someone in the audience is not aware, the subject property is located at the southeast corner of Flanders Road and Riverley Avenue with frontages on both streets. Directly to the east of the subject property are a mixture of commercial and residential buildings. Directly to the south of the subject property is a coffee house, the Budget Inn, and the New York State Police Department barracks. Southwest of the subject property and across Riverley Avenue is a professional office building. Directly north and across the street from the subject premises is a McDonald's, an oxygen bar, a 76 gasoline service station with an accessory convenience store. And directly west of the property across Riverley Avenue and Lake Avenue is a Shell gasoline service station, also with an accessory convenience store. With respect to the proposal, the town building department records indicate that the property was previously improved with a gasoline service station and convenience store. It was first built in 1969 and later modified in 1994. However, the underground storage tanks at the property were removed in 2013 as a result of the new Suffolk County underground storage tank regulations. As such, the property is currently vacant and has not been used for any purpose and has been defunct for approximately 10 years. The owner, 9-11 Flanders Road, is proposing to demolish any and all improvements that currently exist on the property and in their place construct a 3,024 square foot accessory convenience store, all in accordance with the site plan you see before you that was prepared by High Point Engineering, submitted with the application and incorporated herein. 9-11 Flanders is also proposing to add a new canopy, a state-of-the-art 6 fuel dispensers, concrete sidewalks and islands, landscape buffers and embellishments, and new signage pursuant to the signage plan submitted with the application. The project will include an abundance of parking for 30 parking stalls. The fuel islands will be constructed underneath the proposed 3,096 square feet canopy with 12 vehicle fueling positions fed by 3 below-ground fuel tanks. The new gasoline service station with accessory convenience store will not only clean up, liven, and refresh what is currently a blighted parcel on a major thoroughfare and the intersection of 5 major highways in the town of Southampton, but will also provide services to the community. The property has remained vacant and unused for approximately 10 years, and prior redevelopment efforts have proven to be unsuccessful. The proposed site plan by 9-11 Flanders utilizes the existing irregular shaped property in an aesthetically pleasing and refined manner that enhances the beauty and character of the surrounding area. Specifically, the convenience store will be a masonry building sided with brick and stone veneer with decorative dormers and clapboard siding. Anthony, if we could just pull up, there's also 3D renderings.
I don't have those on. If someone on your team has them, they could share them, certainly.
Okay, so right there is those are the architectural drawings that we have, but we also have 3D renderings, which we'll pull up in a moment. We also have new landscaping to beautify the property in an attractive manner consistent with the town of Southampton standards. And the dumpster will be hidden from plain sight in a masonry and landscape enclosure and will be backed up to the existing building directly to the east. And I just would like to say, with respect to the architecture, this particular 7-Eleven will be unique. It'll be the only 7-Eleven with this architecture on Long Island. The site is presently dilapidated and vacant, and it's located on one of the busiest and active thoroughfares in the town. The improvements created by 9-11 Flanders will reduce blight and increase the viability of the roundabout. Specifically, the proposed design will increase the walkability and provide a much-needed enhancement to this area at and near the circle. The home plate layout of the proposed convenience store allows for ease of ingress from the property for both automobile and truck traffic. And the overall traffic impact will not be substantial due to the location of the property and normal traffic flow at the roundabout, a point that will be discussed by our traffic expert, Andrew Villari, later. The request by 9-11 Flanders to build the convenience store is essential to 7-Eleven's operations. The 7-Eleven convenience store's standard design includes 2 ADA compliant restrooms. The footprint of the building being 3,024 square feet is necessary in order to provide both bathrooms in addition to ample space throughout the store and bathrooms for handicap accessibility and maneuverability. It should be noted that the 76 service station located at 7 Peconic Avenue does not have any bathrooms and instead has a porta potty outside near the boundary line, creating an extremely dangerous situation. The Shell station located at 9 Lake Avenue has a single unisex bathroom located at the outside of the store and does not meet ADA standards. A smaller reconstituted design does not meet required safety specifications requiring for the fuel field to be located as far as possible from the convenience store and the present design allows for adequate space to install the septic system. 7-Eleven convenience stores provide a higher quality service overall with the selection of items than other convenience store competitors. In particular, 7-Eleven's business model requires fresh food and produce selections in line with grocery store items, including but not limited to fruit, vegetables, refreshments, grab-and-go salads, and sandwiches that are turned over daily and never left on the shelf to expire. This is even more necessary today with the COVID-19 pandemic.
Oh.
Other convenience stores in the immediate vicinity of the parcel do not provide nearly the same offerings, mostly selling just beer and cigarettes, requiring substantially less square footage. And as I described last time, maneuverability for anyone that's wheelchair bound to be able to get through the store to get to the bathroom without bumping into any product or shelving. This board should also take note of the fact that the bulk requirements for the HB zone where this site is located limit the parcel and the amount of construction that can be done. As I indicated, there is another exhibit which shows we took the existing boundary lines and depicted all of the bulk requirements to show the actual building envelope that would be left when you incorporate all of the zoning code requirements. As a result of the restrictions of the HB zone and the irregular shape of the parcel, we would be required to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals for any variances that would be required, and that would be necessary for any redevelopment of the property. Also, numerous designs were created for the site, but in the end, the home plate design with the convenience store works best with the irregular shape and with the traffic flow entering and exiting the site. Notwithstanding the site restrictions from the bulk requirements, the lot coverage of this site is only 7% when up to 20% is permitted. Further, the property will not impact any residential areas as the property is not in the vicinity of any. As this board is aware, the prior use of the property was a gas station, and the proposed design by 911 Flanders is not overly intensive for its shape. In fact, the property is in keeping with the town of Southampton design standards and has introduced many enhanced architectural features, included but not limited to the cultured stone water table, columns, doggy dormers, and crown molding on the trim of the canopy. So with that, I'd just like to introduce our experts who are here tonight to testify and also answer any questions that the board or the public may have. We understand that there's been some community concern about the project, and we're here to listen to those concerns and take notes. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Ms. Chris Tartaglia, who is the principal of High Point Engineering and our project engineer. Thank you. Chris?
Thanks, Keith. I just shared my screen. I just wanted to see if the folks on the call can see that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thanks. I'll just do some brief overviews of the development. Keith did a good job of explaining it, but this way I can put a picture to the words. So if you can see my cursor here, the proposed convenience store, 3,024 square foot convenience store is located in the southeast corner. Parking stalls are located directly in front of the store, also flanking it to the east. The trash enclosure is also located to the east end. We've got the canopy over the 6 proposed fueling islands. The underground storage tanks are located immediately north of the canopy. And then we have additional parking located just to the north of that. I just wanted to make a note that this plan doesn't reflect some planned revisions, which were taken into account based on our last work session call. We are going to be adding some oversized parking stalls to accommodate larger vehicles such as landscape trailers. We'll have 3 or 4 of those in the amended plan. We will also be locating the trash enclosure closer to the building, getting it outside of or further away from the front vantage point from the roadway and getting it closer to the building so it won't be so prominent. We thought those were very good comments that were made. In terms of access, we're maintaining one curb cut on Riverly Avenue, which is approximately in the same location that it is now. However, notably, that curb cut will be limited to right-in, right-out movements only. There is a median located here that was installed as part of the reconstruction of this intersection, which does not permit legal left turns in or out. So these will be right-in, right-out only on Riverly. On Flanders, we're actually consolidating two curb cuts into one. The two existing curb cuts are located approximately here, where my cursor is, and then there's one to the east here. We're locating one curb cut further east, significantly further east of the existing curb cut. That curb cut will be limited to right turns out only. It will be left turn in though as well, and full movement in that aspect. In terms of this square box here, that's actually the bus stop shelter. We're actually moving that a little bit further to the west to get it out of the proposed curb cut location. That will be an improvement also that is made for the safety of the folks then and the patrons that are using the bus stop. All the green space you see here, folks, is proposed landscape area. Significant difference than the existing conditions at the site. As Keith mentioned, the actual proposed lot coverage by the buildings and structures is significantly less than the 20% that's allowable. And the overall landscape area of the site is going to be about 30%. So fully 1/3 of the site will be green space. Moving on to just some other exhibits. Keith had mentioned just the proposed architectural scheme. What we did was we prepared these graphics, which show the before condition, which is the existing blighted facility, which shows an old gas station with convenience store, and then the new facility below. This would be the visibility or the vision from Riverly Avenue. Just zoom in a little bit further. I think everybody knows what it looks like today, but there's the proposed development showing the customized building architecture, the customized canopy architecture, and again, some of the landscape features in green space, in addition to maintenance of the pedestrian areas, which have been redone recently with the redo of this intersection. Just to give another vantage point here, this one from Flanders. Again, existing, this shows the bus shelter. The one below, the after, also shows the relocated bus shelter and the same vision from the different vantage point of the building and the canopy with the pump islands. Just briefly, Keith had mentioned quickly, I wish I could have put this up when he was testifying. So this is the building envelope plan. What this indicates is the developable area of the property if we were to develop it fully as of right with regard to the bulk requirements and setbacks. This sort of larger oblong area is the building envelope that we could actually locate buildings and structures in. You can see from the substantial setbacks, there would be very limited ability to develop this site in an as of right fashion. And then the other hatched area here is the area where accessory buildings would be permitted. Again, even more significant increased 100-foot setbacks from the roadways. In terms of other exhibits, I've just got some two-dimensional renderings of the building, which again are shown on the 3D. And this is just the existing conditions at the site, again, showing the single-story masonry former convenience store that encompasses a little under 2,000 square feet, and then the roofed over canopies that are on either side. That's the overview of the site. If there's any questions, I'm certainly available to answer them. Send it back to Keith for our next expert.
Thank you, Chris. Chris, are you able to put side by side the proposed site plan versus the that survey that you have there?
I don't think so. I can only share one of my screens, I believe.
No problem. I just wanted the board members and the members of the public just to see the difference in the development.
Well, so what I can do, Keith, I'm sorry to interrupt. So if folks can see that yellow outline here underneath the proposed, that actually is the outline of the existing building and canopy that's out there. This is the existing building. It primarily sits under the proposed pump islands. And then the outer pump islands are flanking it to the north and to the west. So that yellow line that you see there is the existing development underneath the proposed.
It really shows, the enhanced site circulation that we're able to achieve with this design. So, thanks, Chris.
You're welcome.
Madam Chair, I don't know if you want to take questions of each of the experts as we go along or just save them for the end.
Yeah, let's save them for the end and you can finish up with your presentation.
Very well. So next, I'd like to call Andrew Bellari. He's our traffic engineer from Stonefield Engineering and Design. Andrew?
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Andrew Valeri. For the benefit of the record, that's spelled V as in Victor, Illeri, project manager at Stonefield Engineering and Design. Office address is at 1601 Veterans Memorial Highway, Suite 330 in Islandia. Stonefield was retained by the applicant 911 Flanders LLC to prepare a traffic impact study and review the site layout. Just to give the board a little bit more background, I really do appreciate everything that Mr. Brown and Mr. Tartaglia have mentioned, but everyone's very familiar with where the site's located. It's a very exciting project for me, given the recent improvements to the roundabout here. Everyone's familiar with the corner. That's because it's been blighted for such a long time, over a decade, as Mr. Brown mentioned. The improvements are what I'll call somewhat recent. One of the major benefits that I see to the county's project was improving pedestrian safety. Previously, the intersection wasn't so well laid out for pedestrian connectivity, and now the county's done an immense job with laying out a safe layout. Really, the benefit boils down to the implementation of these pedestrian refuge islands, whereas you can now cross each individual leg of the intersection with shorter crosswalks that have safety refuge islands in the middle of them. And, it's very feasible for someone now to walk from downtown Riverhead to any one of these corners of the intersection and do so in quite a safe manner. Kind of piggybacking off of that, the proposed use of a convenience store and gas station at the subject property, in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense. This is a 7-Eleven convenience store, and this is one of the newer ones that go in, and all of the new ones have a really modern offering that you're not so accustomed to seeing. It's not going to be at all similar to the gas stations and convenience stores that are presently here. There's a coffee bar that gets installed on all of them now. There's a fresh food offering, like Mr. Brown mentioned, with fresh food that gets replenished on a daily basis. So in terms of a pedestrian connectivity, the use that you're proposing here, the accessory convenience store to the gas sales, it actually is quite a complementary use from a pedestrian perspective. Without a doubt, though, being a gas station, we are expecting vehicle traffic to be generated. I'm getting a little bit of feedback. I'm not sure if that's someone needs to mute themselves, but I appreciate that. Also, why this is a good location for a gas station and convenience store, it's because of how important of an intersection this roundabout is. Gas stations and convenience stores are specifically located in prominent locations where there's a volume of traffic passing them. Most of the traffic that is generated by a type of use like this is already on the roadway today. You may be commuting to work, you drive through the roundabout on a daily basis, your gas light comes on, you realize that there's a new 7-Eleven convenience store, gas station, you pull in to the property. When you leave, you access the roundabout just the same way you would have if you didn't need gas. You're already commuting through the roundabout, you're going through the intersection as it is. The convenience store it's called that for a reason. It's convenient for people to get there and then keep going to where they want. So, this location, it's a prime location for a gas station and a convenience store because of the volume that it carries, and also for the fact that I could look back at history and see that it was previously a gas station and a convenience store. I won't belabor any of the points about what's proposed on the site. The site layout is very well designed. Just in terms of the access, just to clarify that, Riverlea Avenue is under the jurisdiction of Suffolk County. Flanders Road is under the jurisdiction of the New York State DOT. We have submitted initially to both of those agencies to make sure that the access plan they are amenable to it, and they are. On Riverlea, the county road, right in, right out access only. The driveway is also spaced as far southeast as possible from the roundabout. That's the best location for the driveway. On Flanders Road, what we're proposing is a left in, right out driveway. And again, under the DOT's jurisdiction, spaced as far east now from the roundabout. We did prepare a traffic impact study. It's dated March 10th, 2021. It was submitted to this board. In doing any traffic impact study, we start with the existing condition to establish what the baseline is, how much traffic presently goes through the area. We did conduct counts in October of 2020. That was during the harvest season, but obviously during a COVID year. So for what it's worth, we attempted to observe traffic volumes when the roadways were the busiest, but for what it's worth, it was during a COVID year. To account for that, we do what's called calibration. New York State DOT publishes roadway volumes from years in the past about how much traffic is typical. What we did was we compared our October 2020 counts to the DOT standard volumes, and then we increased our volumes to get back to normal. Taking it one step further, we think about the future, right? Because it wouldn't be fair to say that this project could get built overnight. It's going to take a couple of years to work through all the approvals, also do construction to get there. So it's important for us to look at what traffic volumes are today, and then also traffic volumes in the future without the project. In order to get to that future, what I'll call the no-build year, we account for two things. We account for ambient traffic growth based on population statistics, changes in the area. And then we also look at any other planned projects in the area that would add traffic to the area. Madam Chair, at the workshop, you made a very astute comment about the medical office at the opposite corner of the intersection. When we did our traffic counts in October, that medical office was not fully occupied. So what we did to account for it being 100% occupied is that we increased the traffic volumes that we observed. Now we go from the future without the project to the future with the project, should this board look so favorably upon it. We increase traffic volumes that would be generated by a gas station and a convenience store of this size. We use the industry standard Institute of Transportation Engineers. I'm going to refer to that a couple of times, probably colloquially, as the ITE. And what we do is we look at how much traffic does a gas station and convenience store of this size generate? And the ITE has studies of gas stations and convenience stores that can really inform us of the types of volumes. So, the existing use or the former use on the site, vacant for 10 years or so, it previously was a gas station. Now, what we could have done was take a credit for the amount of fueling that was going on and the amount of traffic that was being generated by the site, and then analyze the net increase on the intersection. We didn't do that here. We wanted to be conservative and give you an analysis that assumed that this was a blank slate site that had no history. It was never developed, but it was. And we did not take a credit is my point. As I was mentioning right when I got started, is that 7-Eleven and gas stations are what's called pass-by uses, and that's the anecdote I was explaining before. You may be commuting through the roundabout on a daily basis. You may stop in on Friday morning because you want a cup of coffee and you want to keep going, or you want to get gas. You're already going through there. Your traffic is already realized at the roundabout. There's studies that show, again, conducted by the ITE, that show that traffic is 90% of, as high as 90% of the total traffic. 9 out of 10 cars are not new. They're already going through the intersection. And that's really what we see here on the roundabout with, driveway on Riverly that's right in, right out. You have to go northbound on Riverly. We bake all that into what's called a level of service analysis. Level of service analysis creates a grading scale of how certain intersection movements would operate. We did a level of service analysis at the site driveways. They both would be calculated to operate at level of service B or better in the future condition. No significant adverse impact as a result of this project because of the pass-by nature of the site. The traffic that would go here is already going through the intersection. Madam Chair also made an astute comment about the need potentially for deceleration lanes at the driveways. We did take the last 2 weeks to look that over and give it a comprehensive review. On Flanders Flanders Road. As Mr. Tartaglia was mentioning, we are going to relocate the bus stop. And, on this plan, it almost looks like we are proposing a deceleration lane. We will be working with New York State DOT and Suffolk County Transit to modify that striping to make sure that we provide a bus turnout that would accommodate them. On Riverly, we're heading towards the roundabout at this point where traffic is slowing down at these yield markings. In terms of is a deceleration lane warranted? No, it would not be. But that's again because traffic is already slowing down as it's going northwestbound. In terms of parking, parking is my last point, and then I'll conclude. I appreciate everybody's time and attention listening tonight. There would be sufficient parking on the property. There's 30 parking stalls proposed. We are requesting a variance, not from this board, but from the zoning board. But why everyone should feel comfortable about the total amount of parking here is because gas stations and convenience stores, what happens if you get gas and you go into the convenience store either to pay or you want to get a cup of coffee? 9 times out of 10, you're going to leave your car at the pump. So actually here we have 12 additional parking stalls based on the vehicle fueling positions. So in effect, we've got 42 parking stalls and the town's requirement is 36. So, in my professional opinion, there would be more than sufficient parking at this location. And my conclusion, just to wrap up, is that this is a significant improvement over the existing blighted conditions for a prolonged period of time. This is an opportunity to reactivate this corner at an intersection that everyone is so familiar with and desperately needs it. So I really appreciate the opportunity, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Valori.
So let me just see if the board has any questions. We have lots of people who would like to make some public comments. So is that?
We just have one more expert, just so you're aware.
And that is?
That's Mr. Murphy, our planning expert.
Okay. Go ahead, Jeff.
I don't actually see him.
He might be on the phone, perhaps?
Okay. Do you have, there are a couple of phones, but I don't know which one is which.
Sure, I can tell you.
How about now?
His
Oh,
name
there we go.
There he is.
is here on the, but no.
Here's Jeff. Yes, please go ahead, Jeff.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody tonight?
Fine, thanks.
Good.
For the record, Jefferson Murphy, 1 Bayberry Lane, Sag Harbor. I know most of you on the board, some of the board members are new, and just a very brief background. I am a nationally certified planner. I'm a New York State certified code enforcement officer. I've been employed as a planner since 1981. I was a planning board member myself for 16 years for the village of North Haven. And most of you know me as the former building and planning administrator for the town of Southampton for more than 13 years. I have thoroughly reviewed the proposed development application as it pertains to its consistency with the current highway business zoning, the adopted land use plans, and the project design. And I'm going to provide you with a very brief summary. I know that we've got a number of people that want to speak tonight, and that is the whole purpose of us being here tonight, is to listen to the public. One thing that's really important to understand about this project, when I listened to the work session, the term downtown was mentioned several times during that meeting. And the term was used often as it relates to the downtown Riverhead area. During my work with the Riverside community since 2004, one of their primary goals, if not the primary goal, was to establish its own identity and its own hamlet. So it's really important that when we refer to the downtown, we're not referring to the town of Riverhead. We're not referring to the properties across the Peconic River. We are really talking about the hamlet center of Riverside. I believe the applicant, the planning board, and the local community all want the same thing: the revitalization of the hamlet of Riverside. The applicant has been asked, how does the proposed development comply with the 2015 Riverside Revitalization Action Plan? In answering this question, we believe the proposed development complies with many of the stated goals and objectives, not only of the 2015 Revitalization Plan, but also the 2004 Flanders, Northampton, Riverside Hamlet Plan, and also the Riverside Blight Study as well. I served as the project manager on both of these studies while I was employed with the town. Some of the stated goals and objectives of these plans, which the project achieves, includes getting rid of slum and blight, removing a former dilapidated automotive repair garage, providing new small-scale retail space that is accessible by the local community, and removing old underground fuel storage tanks. The proposed uses are found in most hamlet centers throughout Southampton, including Bridgehampton, Watermill, Hampton Bays, and the villages of Sag Harbor and Southampton. The existing gas stations and convenience stores located in Bridgehampton and Watermill were approved by the planning board, are well-designed, and complement their surrounding land uses. We are seeking the same approvals as these gas stations, as well as those that are adjacent to our property located on the traffic circle. Additionally, we are looking to incorporate solar panels to help reduce energy consumption. And as their subject property is located in a high priority groundwater protection area, we will be replacing the old septic system with a new AI sanitary system. It is important to remember that the land use plan regulatory element of the revitalization plan is an overlay district. It provides incentives to developers to design their projects according to hamlet design guidelines. As an overlay, it does not replace or supersede, nor does it preclude development according to the underlying highway business zone. Gasoline fuel stations are a special exception use in the highway business zone, and the applicant will file at the appropriate time a petition with the planning board that will demonstrate its compliance with the applicable standards. It has been determined by the Zoning Board of Appeals on numerous similar applications that small convenience stores, like the one that we're proposing, are a customarily accessory use to gas stations. The question becomes how to incorporate the design standards that are common to a hamlet center into a development that is located along a major urban corridor and a zone highway business. It is my professional opinion that the project design is the most important element in the application review process. Our project design provides a nice transition from the traffic circle into the hamlet center. The subject property is highly constrained, however, by its unusual shape and relatively small size. It's also located on a major traffic circles where 5 roads converge. The traffic circle is highly congested, auto-dominated, noisy, and air polluted that does not lend itself to having roadside dining or similar pedestrian uses located that close to a major highway. Further, in order to achieve many of the stated goals and land use elements recommended in the revitalization plan, would require the installation of public sewage. Property owners cannot be expected to wait indefinitely for a sewage treatment plant to be constructed. The primary goal of this proposed development is to get rid of an old dilapidated gas station auto repair garage and replace it with a safe, clean use on the subject property similar to those approved in other hamlets throughout the town that will be attractively designed to encourage both vehicular and pedestrian customers. So I thank you for listening, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have. And we look forward to hearing from the public this evening.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just wanted to recognize that Ken Bordieri from 7-Eleven is also attending here, as well as the owners of 9-11 Flanders LLC. That
Okay.
concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. So does the board want to hold questions until we hear from the public here, or do you have some?
I think we should hear from the public.
Okay, good. All right, Charles, can you begin to?
If you want to speak, you would have to raise your hand, so I know that you want to speak.
Can we take down the screen share?
Thank you.
I got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Bob Johnson is first.
Bob Johnson. Okay. Mr. Johnson, go ahead. We're ready.
Yes, hi.
There
My
you are. Okay.
Bob Johnson, 219 Flanders Boulevard. And when I was a kid, I used to love the smell of gasoline. And I just wonder if some of these presenters are having a little bit too much of the fumes of the gasoline when they're talking, because some of the things they're actually saying, I don't think are straightforward, and they're kind of living in another alternative reality. They talk about 6 filling stations, which is going to mean 12 cars can fill up that parking lot and start pumping that gas. Not to mention the 7-Eleven, that's much larger than the other convenience stations across the street. And not to mention that there's a 7-Eleven within walking distance around the corner on Main Street in Riverhead. But this is something that I do not feel is very good for the community or for the revitalization plan. The last thing I think anybody, when they want to revitalize an area and stop blight, is like, let's put in more gas pumps. That, I mean, there's going to be a children's park across the street. And I can just picture this walking area of the kids walking through the gas pump area, smelling the fumes with their family. And it's just, it's something that is just against what we've been working for the past 10 to 15 years. And I don't want to see it happen. I don't want a supersized gas station there. It's going to make things worse. It's going to make things uglier. The beautiful trees in that rendering are like, how many years old? 50 years old. So it'll take how many years? How many, if we're even alive? But anyway, that's just what I wanted to say and make sure it's on the record. And thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Who is that?
Vince Caldone.
Vince, you're next.
Thank you, Chair LaFaro, members of the board, council, staff, and friends I know are out there in Zoom land waiting to chime in on this proposal. As you know, I submitted a detailed letter to the planning board, a 4-page letter, which actually lays out each of the community association's objections to the proposed use in every aspect. The gas station, which again, I also do believe that, and they can, the consultants can correct me, that 12 cars can gas up at the same time at the 6 stations. If I'm wrong, you know, they'll let us know. But we've worked, as many of you know, you've been in this process in developing the RAP. The original Hamlet study that Mr. Murphy had discussed had been resoundingly rejected by the members of the community in favor of creating a Flanders Road rotary-centered development that links with downtown Riverhead. We see ourselves as a community very much connected to downtown Riverhead, and we are looking forward to the results of the RAP generating a very walker-friendly community where residents can come to the general area of Riverside and downtown Riverhead, park a car, get out of the car, and walk to the various amenities and shops. What was intended for this particular location would have continued the use that's next door, which doesn't appear in any of the renderings. But 20 Riverley Avenue, as one comes around the curve and up Flanders Road, the buildings are brought closer to the sidewalk. The sidewalks are enlarged. There will be shops, restaurants, residences, and businesses above. And as Mr. Johnson just mentioned, we've spent almost a decade designing and are now ready to begin construction on the new Riverside Park directly across the street from here. In addition to that, another piece of construction that's about to start is the Riverside entrance to Grangebel Park. We are connecting with the amenities on both sides of the river, encouraging pedestrian circulation, and by all means, families with children. The sensory garden in the new park is again intended to feed off of other activities such as the aquarium, where families come to our area and spend time. They come to our businesses. They stay quite a long time. So the virtual opposite of anything we would have wanted would be a use that has high frequency automobile movements of people who, you know, rush in, grab some gas, get your donuts and coffee, and off back onto the road you go. The sidewalks that are shown, it actually is almost an insult to our intelligence, but I do understand the consultants are paid by the developer. The way the sidewalks are shown, these very safe pedestrian pathways, are again, the opposite of what people feel safe with when they're walking along, let's say, on the sidewalks in Riverhead, where the buildings are close, it's a comfortable environment. You know, I can go on indefinitely, but I know I have too many of community residents who, along with me, have spent over a decade, and I don't mean just going to an occasional meeting, to come up with a vision, a consensus vision that we all supported, but I mean monthly meetings, meetups, design charrettes, sitting with people who, whether they spoke English or not, could see pictures of different aspects of a revitalized Riverside, architectural styles. They made their selections. We stood with the town board, a crowd of residents supporting and cheering as they approved the Riverside Revitalization Action Plan. So let's forget the old Hamlet study that was supposed to create a main street somewhere other than on the main street that we have, which is Flanders Road. It's no longer applicable. We have Flanders Road, that is our main street, and we want to make the safest connections between the new businesses, the massive number of affordable housing in the long run that will be built on the south side of the street, and just make it a delightful place to stay. We now have the Peconic Paddler moving forward with a new restaurant and an additional and much improved access for kayaking. We have the town's kayak launch. Another one will be in the park. So the environment that we are creating is diametrically opposed to what is being brought before you today. And what is being brought before you today may well be a use described in the Hamlet business zoning code, but there are requirements here that have to be waived, that have to be modified by the site plan in order to conform. There's a variance or two to be required in order to get permission, because this is not an as-of-right use. Theoretically it is. There was a gas station there years ago that failed. So now we're bringing in a new gas station with way more capacity and a 7-Eleven, perhaps to cannibalize the existing businesses and drive them out. We know that 7-Eleven is an aggressive force when they come to town, and that we are up against quite an opponent. But we will fight as hard as we can. As you may know, I went 2 days ago before the town board requesting that they intervene with a moratorium on these types of uses until we can study how that will impact the vision that our government and our people already endorsed and are working toward. Again, I have so many individual items to discuss with you. We can do that at another time, because I know I have a lot of people waiting who are just so entirely enraged that after all the work we did, this is what is being put before us, a drive-through. It might as well be another Burger King and Dunkin' Donuts. That's not the Hamlet Center that we envisioned. I know those of you who've worked for years on this with us on the planning board and the planning department, and in the planning department, also know what the vision is. And I work also, if I can say this, closely with Dawn Thomas, others over in the Riverhead planning department, because we're all on the same side with the environment we want to create, and is very much connected to Riverhead. Mr. Murphy should understand that, having worked for the town of Riverhead. But be that as it may, we all have to earn a living, and I'm glad he's found a way to make some money. But we don't have to live with this. So I've talked also, just a couple of examples. I'm already in touch with our elected officials at the state and county level, and the head of the Department of Public Works, Highway Division, the senior engineer. I've talked to engineers at DOT. No one has said this is okay, the way it's shown. And the folks who run the bus system have absolutely no idea about moving this shelter and whether it will be moved to a safe place. Small examples of how what's being presented to you is utter nonsense in terms of how wonderful this is for everyone. Now, to finalize my comments, I don't want to sound so aggressively anti-property owner. I want it to be clear. The property owner is not a villain. This is an entity that has owned property that is paying taxes and earning nothing. So we have great sympathy as they wait for a sewer district to be built so that they could take advantage of the overlay district. But we are working now to press the town. Jay Schneiderman had said he wants to call in the owner, meet with them, get our master developer in. What can we do? How can we incentivize this property owner to build something that will make him money, but also comply with the vision that we're all so committed to? So I'm, in a way, praying that this planning board will see it as I see it, in terms of how it relates to the plans going on. And the plans are not just plans. As I mentioned, that work that actually Franca got the original grants for the Riverside Park design, those engineering plans are ready to go out to bid in another month or two. We will have a park on the north side of that road, and we want families and children in it, and then we want them to safely, comfortably cross that street, go to the shops, spend time in the new Riverside, and that's not going to happen. As a person who's visually impaired, I don't drive. I know exactly what it's like to walk by a massively busy gas station where people are not looking for pedestrians. They're looking for an opening to get back into traffic and head on their way. It's the absolute worst possibility. So you do not have to approve the access and egress suggested by this team of professionals. You can reject it for something safe, but something safe by our standards will mean that you have a business that can't survive. 7-Eleven and a massive gas station, a big box store in a way of gasoline for our neighborhood can only thrive on rapid turnover. And the last thing on earth we want there is rapid turnover at a location where cars are coming out of the traffic circle and heading east to work. So I beg you to consider the long-term plan and how you can look at this and say, any accommodation, I know variances will come later at the zoning board, but any special accommodation should not be granted. We've come before you on 20 Riverly. We went to the zoning board. We basically went everywhere we had to go as an organization to support the developer who, while not entirely met the overlay district standards, he mostly did, and did a beautiful building and wanted it to fit in when the new neighborhood is built. So we wanted the town to move as fast as possible to help this guy get his building up, get his tenants in, and start the revenue stream. I would like to be that person in this situation, helping a property owner and a developer to get something done. There are sewer issues. There's a host of issues that have to happen and have to be dealt with soon by this town in order for anyone to take advantage of the real benefits of that overlay district. And lastly, I know it's not the central focus, but the affordable housing component of this, which I think most of you are very familiar with, creates the largest concentration of affordable rentals and condos, with 50% of all housing to be market rate, all right here within steps of this property. And we want that. The whole east end of our island needs that. But this has to be a nice place to live, or we're not going to get the people we want, which is largely people who work and go to school and exist otherwise on the East End. We've even talked about an affordable assisted living center, which I've said by the time this is all done, maybe I'll be ready for that myself. But we want it to be for the community. The community that exists there has rights to access the new units and get out of dilapidated housing. There is just so much that the RAP provides, including environmental benefits for the whole area. It's all in my letter, and I don't want to keep the good people who are waiting to speak from their dinners. So unless you have questions for me, I'll hold any other comments till whenever you want to hear them.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taldone. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, just because of the amount of comments, could I just respond to a couple of them that Mr. Taldone has raised?
Let me please go forward with the public. This is their meeting as well.
Okay.
And we have quite a few. So Who's next?
You know, I see no other hands. There's a lot of people, but I don't see any hands.
Vince, are there people who are wanting to speak?
I'm sorry. Yeah, from what I understood, there would be people who want to speak.
There are a lot of people.
I've gotten in my hands about 20 emails that I know have gone on to Patricia. They'll be in your file of.
We've all received those. We've been.
We have all your letters.
Yeah,
Bob Johnson is saying a lot of people are Zoom newbies. Do they know what to do?
Okay, at the bottom, there is a thing that says raise hand. Just click the button if you would like to be heard. I got one.
Okay.
Okay, Errol.
Errol.
Put your video on. You have to put your video on.
There he is. Okay, great. Yes, Errol, please.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Errol Bayraktar. My address is 1801 County Road 39, Southampton. I'm a new resident of Southampton. However, I've been in business in Southampton since 1995 in 2 locations. I'm a gas station owner. I am the owner of Shell station across the street from where they're proposing to build one. And of course, it's very natural that I would object to this proposal. But I have to make some remarks. First of all, the attorney Keith Brown indicated that the bathroom that I have in the station is not ADA compliant, but in actuality it is. Okay, they did the same statement in the work session, which is not correct. So I want to bring it to everybody's attention. And I have been in business, as I said, for a long time in the area, and since 2002 at this location in Shell. And I have seen the revitalization efforts in the area, especially in the past several years, especially on north side of the circle, on the Main Street area. It's been pretty successful, but I know there's a big movement to revitalize the south of the circle, I mean the east of the circle as well. And a project like this, I don't know what kind of contribution it would have to revitalization of the area. If anything, it is potentially, because I've been in business long time, and I know how 7-Eleven works, especially recently. Lately, they've been opening and popping up stores everywhere. They recently opened up probably within half a mile distance from the one that they're proposing on the north side on the Main Street, without a gas station. It's only 7-Eleven. And then a few years ago, they opened up another one a few miles east of the proposed site on Route 24. Even though there is 2 stations on the circle, both with convenience stores, and 2 stations, 3 more stations on Route 24 before Sunrise Highway, and 2 of them have convenience stores. There is so many other convenience stores, delis, without gas stations on the same strip between the Circle and the Sunrise Highway. I don't see any need for I don't see any need for a business like this in the area. And another potential problem is if this is built the way that they're proposing, we know and we agree it's an eyesore to the area, that vacant land, and it's pretty beat up. But the way 7-Eleven operates, how aggressive they are, it's most likely, more than likely, they're going to put several other gas stations out of business, possibly, potentially including mine. So instead of having one eyesore in the Circle, we may end up having several on the Circle and along the Route 24. So in terms of accessory use, the offerings they're talking about in the store, you're welcome to visit my store, and I have all of those, whatever they carry. And 7-Eleven, knowing that the community is totally against this project, and town board, as I know, is also against the proposed project by Cumberland Farms several years ago. Pretty identical project. I don't know what makes them believe, or what makes them think that people wouldn't object anymore, or it's something that would be bad at the time. Now it would be good for the area. So roundabout was done, redone for several reasons, but one of them was making the traffic flow better and reduce the accidents. And I think it's very successful so far. And building another gas station in the Circle is going to totally ruin the whole thing, bringing so much more traffic to the area. And considering the summer traffic, it's going to be, I think there's going to be so many more accidents in addition to tremendous additional traffic. So therefore, I object to the proposal.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Charles, do you see any other hands?
No other hands. Can wait. Oh, there's another one.
Okay.
Yeah. PLB. I don't know where she went.
There it is, Gail B.
Yeah. Let's put your video on.
Okay. You see me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've lived here now, it's going to be 21 years. I live off of Riverly Avenue. So I was here before the Circle was put in. I'm here now that the Circle has been put in. I have to tell you, I have to go that way every morning because I have to go to work. It's not so bad when you go in the early morning, but when you go a little bit later, even starting 8:30, 9 o'clock, you have just those two lanes coming down Riverly One lane goes to the right to go to Flanders Road. The other one goes to the left to go around the circle or potentially into town. Most of us that live here pretty much know what lanes to go in. But when you come to the weekends, we try to be back in the house by 11 o'clock because many of the folks that come out east for the various things, they're not familiar with circles and roundabouts. They end up in the wrong lanes. And the problem with when you turn to go onto Rivoli from the circle or to continue to go south down Flanders Road, it's a very fine curve that goes around that area. Most of the time, the cars that are going to go down Flanders Road aren't sure which way to go. We see them stop in the middle of the circle. We see them bump over to the other lane or vice versa. Now you're going to make an exit and an entrance right only onto Rivoli. We already have a problem when the weather gets warm after Memorial Day to even get to the circle. If you were to come to do a traffic study on a Friday night, a Saturday, or a Sunday, I live more than a half a mile from the circle. It's backed up past my house just to get to the circle. So now if you add a convenience store, gas station to that corner, you're just going to make the problem worse. And you talk about the pedestrian crosswalks. I can't tell you how many times I see it, and it's happened to me with those crosswalks. People step off the curb because they think they're in the crosswalk and everyone's going to stop. Not so when you're coming around that circle. Now, if you add a busy gas station where potentially 12 cars can gas up and their prices will be good, so you'll have a lot of people going there. And then to stop for coffee, because 7-Eleven coffee is good and I like it myself. I get it often. It's a problem. It's a problem with the traffic. It's a problem with the crosswalks. And aesthetically, it's a problem in how it looks. Because when you put the park across the street and people want to cross to go through the circle and the other areas, it's a potential. It really seriously is a potential hazard. And as a person that will be here 21 years, I think I'm qualified to say what I've seen at that circle. So I'm just asking you, please, before you make this consideration, you can't just rely on studies that are put before you on a piece of paper. You have to live it. You have to be real. You have to come here. Come here on a weekend after Memorial Day. Come on a Saturday. Come on a Sunday. Come on a Friday night. You're going to see what that traffic study doesn't show you. So I'm just asking you, please do a lot more homework before you think about this, okay?
Great.
All I
Thank
have
you.
to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just get your last name for the record, Gail?
Baldwin.
Thank you.
Any more? Please raise your hand. I see no other hands.
Okay, well, let's have Mr. Brown respond to some of the comments.
Thank you. Just a procedural question for Ms. Murphy, I guess, with respect to the witness.
Murray.
I'm sorry?
Miss Murray.
I'm sorry.
It's not a quasi judicial board. We don't swear in at the planning board, only at the ZBA.
I see. Okay, very good. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to Mr. Johnson, Mr. Taldone, Errol, and Mrs. Baldwin for your comments. Appreciate it. Just quickly going through a couple of them. So just to clarify, this is not a quote unquote supersized convenience store. This is 3,024. I believe when we started the work session last time, I clarified that the Cumberland Farms that was brought several years ago, that was a 5,000 square foot convenience store. Just by comparison, the 76 is 910 square feet, but does not contain the ADA provisions that we talked about, and the Shell station is 2,030 square feet. Next, in terms of Mr. Caldone's comments, I spoke last time at the work session about the opportunity that this convenience store presents to the downtown area, the riverfront, the kayaking, the bicycling, and whatnot, that because of the new improvements that Mr. Valari pointed out quite extensively to the roundabout, there's now pedestrian refuges in between on Flanders Road as well as on Rivoli Avenue. In other words, someone who's downtown who wants to walk over to the convenience store because they're downtown and they're biking or kayaking or with their kids or at this proposed park can easily walk across the street now, where before these improvements, they would have had a tough time. It would have been like playing Frogger and trying to cross those roads. But now, especially with the sidewalks that bound the site, and we're going to be proposing tie-ins. I spoke to Mr. Tartaglia offline with respect to making sure that we have easy pedestrian access to the front and the entrance of the convenience store. It'll be a marked improvement because anyone who's downtown who wants to grab something can now do so. I also pointed out that because of the convergence of the 5 highways there, that if you're out for the day and you're headed to the beach or you're headed to some activity or you're playing golf or you're going to the wineries and you forgot, I don't know, paper plates and forks, you could stop in the 7-Eleven and grab what you need and continue on your merry way. So I think that's a substantial improvement. And then I just want to talk about the bus shelter. We're only moving the bus shelter slightly to the east. In fact, we're moving away from the circle, so that makes it safer. And then we have received preliminary review by the DPW and the DOT. The DPW had no objection. And I just want to read to you the statement by the DOT, if I may. This was forwarded to me by Mr. Valari. The DOT said the location and layout of the driveways are acceptable from a traffic safety point of view. And the DPW said that we recently went through there with the capital improvement project, meaning the circle. We don't have any objection to the plan that has been provided pending full 239F review.
Mr. Brown, excuse me, Mr. Brown, we have someone from the public who would like to speak again. So could you just hold it for a second?
Sure.
Mr. Johnson? Bob Johnson?
He spoke earlier, I believe.
Yes, I'm here. I just wanted to clarify that I was not referring to a supersized 7-Eleven. I was referring to a supersized gas station, which has a capacity of filling 12 cars at once with 12 actual pumps.
Okay.
That is it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks.
Great. And just the last point quickly I wanted to make was with respect to that this area is also a major employment center. We have the county jail located nearby, the 2 courthouses, and the county clerk's office, which employs, quite a large number of people. I know this board is aware, and I know council is aware that, just to point out that economic competition is not a valid basis to grant or deny an application. And, one of the things that I've experienced over the years of doing this type of work is that when you get a new use like this that comes into an area that has a brand new, fresh look like this has, it really raises the bar on the other businesses in the area. So it almost acts like a seed that germinates and really improves the whole area around it. So that's all I really had in response. I appreciate the
Okay, well, let me just give the board an opportunity.
Sure.
Board members, if you have some questions, please.
There was a question that I asked. There was a question that I had asked at the earlier work session, and I still have not gotten an answer to this, or nor have I heard an answer tonight, which is twofold. One, how does this add to the downtown Riverhead improvement? I hear that the cars are going to zip through on their way to the wineries and zip back out on their ways to somewhere else and not stop in between. And then I hear that you are improving the walkways that the county, I think, had laid out. So I'm still trying to get the tie-in between a 7-Eleven convenience store, which is accessory to a gas station, or the gas station is accessory to the convenience store. I wasn't quite sure. And the second is that there is definitely in this area a fresh food desert or a supermarket desert. You keep speaking about 7-Eleven filling this up by having fresh foods. I need some qualifications. So those two issues, please.
Sure, I'd be happy to. So
Can you please take the, stop sharing your screen?
Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Chris, can you take that? Thank you.
Well, I think Mr. Brown's responses to that first question are going to relate to this. That's why I put that up.
No,
Keith?
it's not. Joyce through.
No.
So thank you, Ms. Long. First and foremost, I think number one, we're eliminating the blight that exists there so close to the downtown. And number two, I think, we're providing a service, to people who are going to be downtown, as well as people that pass by traffic that Mr. Valari spoke to. But in terms of, having the ability to offer prepackaged, packaged and food, at that location, as well as the fresh offerings that we have, that's something that is helpful to people who, don't want to go all the way to a supermarket. We talked about the supermarket last time, and somebody that, just wants to go in and grab a quick bite, or they have the kids and, it's difficult to go anywhere. And then if the kid needs something at the last minute.
Yeah, but sir, with all due respect, we have a McDonald's. Is it McDonald's? Is it McDonald's or Burger King right there?
McDonald's.
We have a brand new, the Peconic Paddler is coming in with restaurants. We have walking distance. When you walk into Riverhead proper, you have beautiful, beautiful restaurants and struggling restaurants that are getting back on their feet.
Indeed.
I'm losing the consistency of your packaged food, but that's just my opinion. I
appreciate it. It's a different type of offering, right? It's not McDonald's, it's not Burger King, right? Nor is it a sit-down restaurant. It's for someone who, wants to get something smaller, right? Something smaller, or something fresh, right? Like a sandwich or salad or fruit that they have, or just someone who wants to get a cup of coffee and, and something to go along with it. But I defer to, I should not steal Jeff's thunder, so I'd like to, Mr.
Well,
Murphy.
listen, let some of the planning board people have their questions. I mean, we've heard your
If
presentation.
he had something to expand upon, I thought he might.
I know.
I have a question that I'd like to ask you. Nowhere in the town of Southampton has the planning board approved a convenience store beyond 1,200 square feet.
Mm-hmm.
This particular offering is not accessory to anything. It's a separate use in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
We can review it. We'll have time to review this down the line. But I can tell you that we've been drawing up policy and code changes that refer directly to that. We've done an intensive study of the convenience gas stations with convenience stores, and not one of them comes to that threshold. So that's going to be an issue that I just want you to know, just go on the record that we will be dealing with this as we review this application.
Hey, may I ask, is that retail sales area or is that overall square footage?
Overall square footage.
Okay.
Because the retail sales areas are very small.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this at our work session, that the applicants was suggesting that people were going to be walking to the 7-Eleven, and that's a benefit to the Riverhead and the Riverside community. They're not going to be going there when they're getting gas. So that in and of itself suggests to me that they're anticipating this to be a separate use.
I'm not following Mr. Burke. I'm sorry. The fact that you have the ability to walk to this store is a benefit, so that someone doesn't always have to get in their car and go from place to place. That's all I meant by that.
But that suggests to me that the business plan is assuming that some of that profit is coming from that walkable. It can't be a benefit and then say it's an accessory use, at least in my mind.
Okay. I'm
There
not
will be-
sure I would agree with that, but I respect your opinion.
We can agree to
Thank
disagree.
you.
That's right.
We'll be looking at that for sure. I have to say that Mr. Taldone made a good representation of the Riverside revitalization plan, and I'm sure you all looked at that carefully before you decided to redesign this corner. When he says 10 years, he means it. There was a lot of community effort and government effort to look at the Riverside revitalization program. And, you know, we have one building on the circle that is a medical building, and it's beautiful, it complies, it's great. A third gas station around the circle might not necessarily be the smartest and wisest best use. But we've heard from the public, there are people have written in many letters. We're going to leave this open for a 30-day written comment period. And we'll go from there, unless there's someone on the board who else would like to say something in addition.
Yeah, I'd like to just
Ray, please.
ask one question. How do you reconcile the conflict between, you know, a high volume, high turnover business model, or two actually, fueling up your car, running into a 7-Eleven, getting a coffee, with you know, the additional landscaping trucks going in and out of the facility, and then introducing pedestrian. I'm having trouble balancing that. I see a lot of entry, exit, quick turnover, and then people walking throughout. I see a lot of potential for, you know, danger there.
Oh, thank you for that question. And so that was what I was referring to before, Mr. Catalano, that I discussed with the project engineer offline, make sure that we have those tie-ins from the sidewalk improvements that have been made right to the front door, so that someone could simply, you know, make their way on the sidewalk and not have to use, you know, not have to walk through the parking lot, so to speak.
Thanks.
So the next plan you'll see.
Okay, thank you.
Charles, are there any other raised hands? Going, gone?
I see no other hands.
No other hands, but we do have.
Madam Chair, I would just want to
30
give Mr. Murphy just the last word with respect to some of the points that were raised.
Yes, Jeff, please.
Hello again, everybody. That was a lot to digest, anticipated. I know that the one thing that everybody is always concerned about is the franchise tag with any large corporation. Most of you remember this. This happened in Hampton Bays when McDonald's came in, and the town was sued. The community actually sued the town, didn't want it to use. I think as you've seen over the years that a fast food restaurant with a drive-through facility in a downtown Hamlet area has worked out very well in that location. So, and that was done mostly through the project design. And there's a synergy that use with the Hampton Bay residents and also with people driving through the area. So we also saw that with Starbucks at the King Cullen Shopping Center. People wanted a Starbucks, and then when the shopping center came in and proposed a Starbucks, the residents came out in arms against it. But I think we've all come to realize that a Starbucks, if you remember back in its heyday, they were popping up all over the place. And I think people realize that Starbucks is not a bad use. It's actually very complimentary. It's a coffee shop, that sort of thing.
I don't think it's so much franchise as it is location. If you refer to the Hampton Bays McDonald's, is that what you made reference to?
Yeah, right in front of the Stop and Shop.
It sits back off the road. It has its own special place. It's not on a traffic circle.
There's light there.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, and the other point I'm making, with all the other gas stations and convenience stores, it provides a nice transitional use from in a high volume traffic area into your proposed Hamlet Center. We're not walling off the circle. There's no ability to have roadside cafe dining or sipping cappuccinos along that area. It's just if you drive through the area, you know it's a hostile environment. If you're walking through that area today, it's a very high traffic volumed area. You're not gonna be sitting there 5 feet off the road, having cocktails or beer or craft beers or something like that.
No, but
either.
the whole point of the Riverside Revitalization Program was to de-intensify this.
And the problem with that,
To make
the problem
it
with
an
that is,
entranceway.
we take a look at the proposed street standards for the downtown along with State Route 24. You have a road shoulder, then you have a landscape buffer, then you have a bike lane, then you have another landscape area, then you have a slip street, then you have diagonal parking, and then you have a sidewalk. We incorporate all of those elements along State Route 24 in front of the subject property. You have almost an unusable building area. And
Well, your building area is not a very large building area for what you're putting in it. I took a site visit this weekend and it's a pretty small lot.
and so again, we think that the use provides a good transition from the traffic circle heading into the Hamlet Center.
Well,
And I would just submit as a final point that I think the site plan lays out very well for this site. It's just a little less than an acre in size, and it comports with the town code. So I'll leave that.
okay.
on that note.
Anyone
Thank you
else
all very
on the
much.
board? Thank you all for your presentation. Appreciate it. Any other comments from the board? If not, I'll entertain a motion to close with a 30-day written comment period.
Motion.
By Gloria and second by Zuccarelli. All in favor?
Aye.
Five in favor, one absent. Thank you.
Thank you all. Stay safe.
Okay, I think we have done it. So I'll entertain a motion to close.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Robin. Second by Gloria, and all in favor.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, 5 in favor, 1 absent. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good
Good
night.
night. Night. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles.
Yes, thank you, Charles.
Thank you, Charles. I feel that's like a waltz.
Hey.
Thank you, Charles.
Yeah, technical problems, yeah.